Good evening, I'm Hunter Kelly. This is Up to Date. Here's this week's updates. Over 848,000 cases of the coronavirus in the U.S. and over 47,000 tragic lives lost so far as of Thursday night. Good news, over 84,000 people have recovered from the virus. That means those people have had 2 negative tests since contracting the virus. And as states like Georgia begin opening today, the country still lacks adequate testing per day nationwide for health officials to feel comfortable opening back up. The U.S. is currently testing 150,000 people per day. Health experts believe those numbers need to at least triple per day for states to feel comfortable opening up to phase 1. However, Georgia's governor opened up places like gyms, bowling alleys, restaurants, and hair salons today. Other states are also looking to do the same against guidance of many health officials. That's coming up right now. States began reopening their businesses this week, including South Carolina, Tennessee, Alaska, and Georgia. This coming as cases in the U.S. continue climbing. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp made the announcement on Monday, saying that his state will open barbershops, nail salons, bowling alleys, and gyms, even as cases continue to go up.
When we have more people moving around, we're probably going to see our cases continue to go up, but we're a lot better prepared for that now than we were over a month ago.
Georgia had over 400 new cases of the virus on Thursday alone. Not all people in Georgia are on board with the governor's plan, though. Athens, Georgia Mayor Kelly Girtz said he's going to continue to encourage his residents to stay home.
I'm exhorting everybody in this community to continue to shelter in place. Do not reopen at this point. It's not the time to do it. It's like telling your quarterback, we don't have a helmet for you, we don't have pads, but get out there on the field and just try not to get sacked.
Pretty vivid. And Albany, Georgia's mayor also said he believes Governor Kemp made the wrong decision.
The governor had a difficult decision to make. I do, however, think he made the wrong decision.
Athens Mayor Kelly Girtz says he believes Georgia and other states can work on their economy and the health of their residents at the same time.
We can work on the fiscal health of our economy, and we can also work on the raw human health for our population. If somebody's not alive, they're going to not be able to be a customer.
At the beginning of the week, crude oil hit a record low price, reaching negative $40 a barrel. This coming in part as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, where demand for crude oil seemingly evaporated, leaving companies with too much oil and not enough places to store it. Because of this, oil producers were paying buyers to take the oil off their hands. The shale sector has transformed the U.S. into the world's largest oil producer, which President Trump labeled the U.S. energy dominance, but now faces a rapid decline due to the pandemic. As people are kept indoors, with most states continuing to implement their stay-at-home orders due to the virus, people around the country are protesting this week at their state capitals for their governors to reopen their states. Here are just a few: in Denver, Colorado, Nashville, Tennessee, Buffalo, New York, and here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Many of these protesters were Trump supporters, evidenced by their flying of Trump 2020 flags, bumper stickers, and Make America Great Again hats. Most were without masks and were packed into areas without proper social distancing, both of which were cautioned against by the CDC to prevent spread between people who may not know that they have the virus. This coming after a string of tweets from the president last week, which called for the, quote, liberation of Michigan, Minnesota, and Virginia. PA Governor Tom Wolf said last week he's asking residents to stay the course right now and stay inside as the state prepares to expand testing and contact tracing. As the U.S. continues to struggle to provide adequate amounts of coronavirus testing, a new CNN report shows CDC labs, in part, may be to blame. Labs who were receiving the CDC test already at a slow rate were worried that the test may have been faulty. In late February, an official from the Food and Drug Administration went to the CDC headquarters in Atlanta where they were making the tests. The official noticed that the labs in which the tests were being made were already contaminated with the virus, causing the tests to malfunction. This caused the CDC to spend additional weeks manufacturing a new test that would not be contaminated, creating an even further delay in testing as a response to the pandemic. Coming up next, I speak to a director of secondary education for a school district in Pennsylvania about the impacts of online learning on students during the pandemic. Stay with us.
This year, you can complete the census by calling or going online.
Or return your form by mail.
Make your family count!
It only takes 10 minutes to fill out the 2020 census online, over the phone, or by mail.
Schools around the country have been closed due to the coronavirus for over a month now. Joining us tonight is Director of Secondary Education, Dr. Rob McGee in Neshaminy School District in Bucks County, PA. Dr. McGee, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Hunter.
School officially started online learning about 2 weeks ago. What's it been like for you and for your teachers going through this whole new process?
Wow, that's exactly what it is, an entirely new process. I'll speak for myself first. I've spent 33 years working in education and realized somewhere along the way that most of that is a face-to-face people skill. And now all of a sudden we are without that and have to deliver the same quality of experience, and that's very difficult to do. I'm sure our teachers are doing exactly the same thing. Everything they're used to doing, every go-to trick, everything that they think about as far as how they're going to teach it, all their things that they would normally do have to be rethought about in a different environment. So it's new for everyone, and it's an environment that I think we're going to be successful in because everyone adapts, and it's amazing what everyone has done. But it is actually a brand new environment.
And you said it's a brand new environment and it's brand new for everyone. What do you think have been the biggest complications for both students and faculty so far that maybe you've seen or people have come to you about?
Well, as far as students go, you think about it, this isn't going to sound great, but what do we do? Mom and dad corral them, put them on a bus or in a car, drop them off in a building. We corral them and push them through 8 periods a day and stick them in a room and almost, they don't have a choice. Now they are voluntary participants. We have to engage them. We have to get them to want to do what they have to do without our physical presence there. So it really does get down to the essence of what teaching, learning, and a lifelong learner should be. Present someone with something that they want to get into, that they want to explore. So it really does put them in that college environment. And if you think about it in college or in any type of adult learning situation, you're probably paying for the course and you see the outcome in short term as to what it gets for you. I'm not sure how you explain that to a 5th grader. So that is the challenge out there. And what's on their phone and their device and their TV is probably more exciting than what's on our computer at the moment. So we have to fight to make sure that we at least begin to try to compete with that and give them something interesting that they want to pursue and learn as they do it.
And you talked about that this is kind of something more college-like, where students have to really be involved and really be wanting to learn because this is not a process that's usual to them. Do you think overall students have taken to this idea of getting their work done, kind of going about it, maybe not as structurally as a normal school day would be, but going about their work and still getting things done?
Yeah, I think they have. I mean, it's early. We see that over 99% of them, at least at the secondary level, are participating, whether they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do or not. It's all still a new experience. Whether they're getting the fullest extent out of, when you get into a classroom and somebody asks a really good question and the teacher responds, and somebody asks another clarifying question, and somebody has a point that says, what about this, or what if you solve the problem this way? How do we get that type of interaction back? I think the effort is there, the attempt is there. Now it's a matter of us learning this new environment and taking it to the next level, and that'll take time. It'll take a lot of time.
Now, as Governor Tom Wolf said, he thinks a couple weeks ago, he said he thinks that schools will be closed for the rest of the academic school year. For students who, most people have not necessarily completely fulfilled kind of that requirement or won't get to it all, what is going to be happening for students that have to move on to the next grade that maybe didn't quite get the learning experience that they would have gotten if they were in school?
Fortunately is not the right word, but the whole nation, if not the whole world, is in the same spot. So I think the benchmark has moved. So what we thought that we were supposed to have by the end of the grade changed for everybody. So now it's our job. We're going to graduate the seniors. We're going to promote everybody to the next grade because we believe where they left, they are deserving. We're going to hold people harmless to the experiences that they're having now. But at the same time, we have a system, and I think most school districts do, where you can look at, say, what was missed in 7th grade math or 4th grade science because we cut it out because we couldn't do it online. And then fortunately, we have those kids the following year. So the start of the next year might look a little different. And in a particular course, it might be the next couple years that we can catch up these 3 months. So really, if you think about it, we're measuring it against the old norm because the new world says who everyone's at a different spot. How do you gauge the SATs going into college now? How do you gauge someone's class rank? All those metrics are now askew. So whether they actually come back or not is kind of the neat thing. I don't know that I consider that a negative yet. There are a lot of negatives. I don't know if that one is a negative. And then you replace it with some of the positives, Hunter. If you think about it, those experiences that these families are having, though some of them are having some difficult experiences, within them are so many learning opportunities. Maybe the family never got to build the fence together. They have time to do it, or they're playing the game of chess. Somebody learned chess. Those type of experiences might actually outweigh reading, writing, and arithmetic in the long term.
Oh, that's definitely a great point. And going off that, health officials last week in Washington kind of released their plan, their 3 phases to kind of opening the country back up again. In phase 2, it actually lists that schools and daycares can reopen. Obviously, I said, Governor Tom Wolf said that schools would be closed for the remainder of the academic school year. However, this week he did say that he sees PA getting to that phase 1 kind of by May 8th. This is a hypothetical, but what if the state gets to phase 2 by the end of May? You still have all of June. Do you see schools going back to school and reopening?
That's like predicting the future in the middle of a pandemic. No, I don't. I think the governor has made that decision. He obviously can change his mind. And then you look about the limited time that would be available and what restrictions would be put in place. Just go to the simplest one, giving everybody a mask. For us, that's 9,000 masks a day plus another 1,000 for staff. It's assuming we provide them and you use them once a day. That's 50,000 masks a week. I don't know. Neshaminy in itself, with the other 500 school districts in the Commonwealth, should be sucking up that many masks if, in fact, we aren't clearly out of this yet. So I think some of the logistical pieces might not play out well unless for some reason we're 100% clear.
Let me ask you this. Do you think it would be useful for students to go back to school, or do you think it would be too much of a change up considering the change they've already went through?
No, I think everybody would, even those who may say they don't enjoy their school experience, would love to go back to school for a few weeks, to see their friends, to see their teachers, to clarify some things, for the seniors to see their locker for one last time, to walk the hallways for one last time, to see your classmates that next September you'll be moving on to different classes. I think that has value, assuming there wouldn't be too many restrictions on bringing people together. But I'm not sure if that can happen in the short time left.
Dr. McGee, thank you so much. It certainly is a tough time. We're in unprecedented times, and hopefully we can get it figured out soon and get these kids back to school.
Yep, I'm sure we will. Thank you, Hunter. You take care.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
The director developing a vaccine to combat the coronavirus for the Trump administration, Dr. Rick Bright, said in a strongly written statement on Wednesday that he was pushed out of his position. Bright said he believed he was pushed out due to his voicing of concerns about fully getting behind hydroxychloroquine as a medication to combat the coronavirus, this drug that Trump has been touting for weeks. A second study, done this time by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, released this week, said after treating 368 COVID patients, none of them saw benefits from using the drug. Bright suggested using research dollars to get behind a drug that has been proven on small scales to not work was not the direction they should be going. He was then pushed out of that position at BARDA, the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Team, to a smaller position. Bright said, quote, "I'm speaking out because to combat this deadly virus, science, not politics or cronyism, has to lead the way." Well, Trump on Wednesday was asked about Dr. Bright. Listen to what he said.
Was he pushed out of that job?
I never heard of him. You just mentioned the name. I never heard of him. When did this happen?
This happened today.
Well, I never heard of him. If the guy says he was pushed out of a job, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. You'd have to hear the other side. I don't know who he is.
How is that possible? Dr. Bright is the director for creating a vaccine for the coronavirus pandemic, and the president says he has absolutely no clue who he is. You know, it makes me wonder how the American people are supposed to listen to what the president says and believe him. But guess what? People do. If you're the president, don't you at least have an understanding of who everyone is that's in a position to have an influence on how the pandemic's handled in the country? Like the director for developing a vaccine? Maybe the bigger question is, why was a doctor pushed out of his position for developing a vaccine to help curb the virus in the future after he raised concerns about the very drug Trump has been continuously touting, saying he doesn't see the harm in taking it? He said he may even take it himself after he asked his doctor. Okay. He's also asking journalists to investigate the studies being done on hydroxychloroquine, not his own doctors and administration. Okay. No need to keep going. You get the point, right? We'll be right back.
As the nation's doctor, I often get asked, what should I do if I think I might have coronavirus?
People who are sick should stay home. You don't go to an emergency room. You don't go to a clinic. You get on the phone and you ask for advice and instructions from your physician.
We don't want you to go into the ER or the doctor's office without talking to them first, because you might spread coronavirus to someone else. Please visit coronavirus.gov for more information.
New York is the canary in the coal mine. What happens to New York is going to wind up happening in your city and in your community. We are going to fight every way we can to save every life that we can. We are all first responders. Your actions can either save or endanger a life. Job one has to be save lives. That has to be the priority.
Amidst the coronavirus pandemic, nursing students around the country have had to change their ways of learning. Charles Hart has the story.
Nurses have been working tirelessly around the clock in order to treat patients who have contracted COVID-19. Their work during these trying times has been nothing short of heroic. However, there's growing concern that the next wave of up-and-coming nurses might not be as experienced as they would like to be. With nursing classes being moved to online, I spoke with 2 Penn State nurses to determine if this will have a negative effect on their career.
It's definitely different. I feel like there's no way to really replicate that type of learning unless you're actually doing it.
All nurses require clinical hours, which involve working in a hospital to gain real-life experience. Instead of working at nursing homes as part of her clinical-based practice, sophomore nurses like Jackie Galang do virtual meetings and assessments with fictitious patients as part of a computer program.
I left all my my stethoscope, blood pressure cuff, all my those things at school, so I don't even have them with me. So it's not even I can physically work on the skills that I should be practicing.
The loss of hands-on learning from the clinical environment is especially important to those working in hospitals, like Penn State junior Olivia Orth, who works in Hershey.
If we were to do clinicals in person, it would be about 8 hours of in-person learning, whereas our virtual clinicals really take under an hour.
Orth says many of the simulations she's been doing are by the book and ignore some real-world complications that nurses will have to deal with. Still, she believes the information learned in lectures will be enough to help her succeed in the field.
I think it's going to be harder at first to learn to apply that knowledge, but I think that the knowledge is still there.
In times like these, even the ones learning to care for us in the future must adapt to these unusual circumstances. On Long Island, New York, I'm Charles Hart for the Center County Report.
I want to wrap up tonight discussing the issue we're still facing here in America, and it comes down to 2 very simple quotes, one of which is from the president, and the other one is from his renowned infectious disease expert. Take a listen.
But how can you say that it won't come back in the same level that it has today?
What it is estimated, it might not come back at all, Jeff. It may not come back at all. There will be coronavirus in the fall.
That right there epitomizes what has been happening in Washington since the beginning of this virus. For one, a fundamental lack of understanding of how viruses work, and 2, a lack of caring what credible health officials have to say, and then going to the media and spreading, as Trump keyed the term, fake news to the American people. Look, it's not hard. It is in fact possible to give people a dose of reality about this highly infectious virus, while also comforting them. Trump was given that opportunity a few weeks ago, but just didn't do so.
Millions, as you witness, who are scared right now. What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say. Go ahead.
Look, no matter what your political beliefs are, you have to see that there is a clear misunderstanding between a disease expert and a politician. To me, the one you choose to believe defines you not as your political stance, but as your morality as a person. We can't suspend belief forever. Reality will eventually hit all of us very, very hard. We'll see where we land after that. Good night. Stay safe.